Hi, you've decided to take social media to 3480, and you've also decided to take it online, and you've decided to take it during summer semester. There we go, I'm back. I froze and then I unfroze. The marvels of technology. Anyway, welcome to the class. My name is Eric Young. I am the professor for this class. Chances are you've had me before and you kind of know how I do things, but for those of you who don't know how I do things, I've created this orientation video to kind of take you through the workflow that is demanded by this class and how it works online. Even if you have taken me before, you probably ought to watch the whole stinking video, okay? In fact, for every class that I teach online, it's not a bad idea to watch all the videos from top to bottom. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. I'm coming to you from my garage. It's a place where I have the best light control. It's not the place where I have the best sound control. And today is garbage day, so we might be interrupted by a garbage truck coming along and emptying our garbage. And my two golden retrievers are here along with me, and from time to time they just need to be reassured that I love them. So we might be interrupted on those levels as well. So let me get into the syllabus, into Canvas, show you how things are going to happen, what the assignments are, what the expectations are. This is going to be a funky semester, summer semester, at a time when it seems like, how do I edit my thoughts here? Things are really going to crap, really. I don't care what your political affiliations or foundations are. And so likewise, that gives us a lot of stuff to study, especially when it comes to how the information is disseminated on social media. So that being said, I reserve the right to change my assignments during this semester or any semester, and make them more relevant to correlate with what's going on in real time. And for some days during the week, that's on a daily basis. It might be changing. So you need to tune in here frequently to see what's going on. So let me get into the syllabus and show you what's happening here. This is on the Canvas page. Go down to syllabus, click the tab, and here we are. If you're a major, I'm hoping you are familiar with the program learning outcomes and how they drive then the student learning objectives. This is what I want you to get away, to come away from in terms of the class of certain skills and competencies and awareness and understanding happens here, okay? In fact, these are all driven by verbs in terms of what is it we're trying to do. So here's what I'm looking for us to accomplish. One is to understand the emergence and the progress and the damages of social media. And we won't get into a whole lot of historicity of social media. I'm not sure that it's even relevant anymore, but we will understand maybe the history of social movement in social media, okay? We'll define, develop, and practice social media literacy. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I know how to navigate Facebook, right? I know how to do Instagram. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how we go through and evaluate, critically analyze the information that's being inundated in our social media feeds on a regular basis, and how we might perpetuate that, how we might do that without even a second thought because we trust the source only to find out that it's a bunch of crap. You know, that's what I'm talking about. To become better purveyors, consumers of the kind of content that we're being inundated with. Okay, we'll get into the impacts of social media and citizen journalism in terms of being well informed. We'll up our awareness of communication context in social media. If you had me before, you know I'm a big contextual guy when it comes to communication. We'll get into civil discourse, and lastly, we'll get into critical approaches to social media by recognizing our own default automatic attitudes. If you've had me for persuasion, for argumentation and critical thinking, you hopefully have a grasp of how we are driven by our automatic default attitudes without even realizing it. Well, social media capitalizes on that, and part of our raising our literacy with social media is understanding how our buttons are being pushed. So to do that, I'm getting into, this is the item pool, scroll down a little more in the syllabus, and we get into, there's three main content items that we'll get into, and I'm going to add to this a little bit over the course of the semester depending on what unfolds as well. But you can count on these three things: on the media, well informed, and the automatic attitudinal response. And click on any of these and it'll go back to the rubric for each of these. All right, so for example, on the media, I'm going to ask you to listen each week of the semester for 7 weeks, okay, to the program on the media. Now you only have to write about 3 of them. 3. Only 3. Not 5, not 7, only 3, okay? You could find the show here. If you click on this link, it takes you to the WNYC studios in New York City, to the On the Media page, and this is where everything is listed in terms of their podcasts, their presentations, and things that goes on. What I really like about On the Media, and the reason why I'm requiring you to do this within the class, is it because it is I can't say it's a centrist, but it is an objective look at social media. It's an objective look at the producers and the journalists and the pundits and the content specialists. No holds barred when it comes to going through and doing a critical analysis of what's going on. It's not left. It's not right. I don't know where to plant it. It's common sense, and it looks at applying certain media critical attributes to the messages that are going on. And Brooke Gladstone and Bob Garfield do the best job of that of any journalist I have studied over the course of my career. I'm a former journalist. I'm a former producer. I've worked in media. I understand the ins and outs. I understand what the pressures and what the influences are there. So making my recommendation about Bob Garfield and Brooke Gladstone doesn't come just off the cuff or just a matter of preference there. So I need you to trust me on that. Okay? So On the Media is the first assignment. I'm not going to go through all of these here as we go along. Let me go back to the syllabus. I just wanted to demonstrate to you, though, how this works, okay? Next is a well-informed discussion post. You'll see as we get into each, let me go down to the modules. As we get into each module and cover different topics during the week, once we get into social media, or social literacy, we'll get into democracy and racism and privacy and the First Amendment and learning. And this might change. We might focus on something specific as things are being demanded right now. We might get into immigration and social media and what that does. So that's what we're talking about on the well-informed discussion post. Click on that, read that so you understand what's going on. Each post itself, each discussion post, let me go to that, to discussions, and pull those up for you. So I'll go to the well-informed freedom of speech one. This comes up with an audio clip. I'm going to ask you to listen to it. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios and make an application. And then underneath that is the rubric. This is what I'm looking for from your post that you'll put up in a discussion in this discussion thread. I'll also be looking for you to comment on somebody else's post as they put that up there. I'll cut a video that gets into this more specifically and succinctly, but I just want to give you an overview of what's going on with that. This class depends on our ability to go through and carry on some level of civil discourse. And obviously, being online, the only way we can do that is through a discussion thread. And for some of you, that's pretty easy because you get to hide behind your computer. You don't have to go with the camera. You can't post anonymously because Canvas doesn't allow you to do that. But we have a tendency to be a little bit more frank, maybe sometimes a little bit more rude, because we're not talking face to face with somebody. So we'll get into some parameters of civil discourse as we talk more about the well-informed post as we go along. All right? Okay, moving on. Let's see, the last one on there was the automatic attitudinal default assignment, and I'll talk about that later on. That's going to pop up late in the semester. In fact, the last week is when that is due. Here, philosophies, policies, and resources. I'm going to come back to this here in just a second. I'm going to scroll all the way down here to where you can see when things are due. Okay, these are all the due dates. And so you need to be aware of all this, and this will pop up every time you bring up the class in your Canvas page. It will come up and give you a summary of what's going on. Here's some advice and some philosophy behind what's going on. I wrote this here. I found in teaching online, there are 3 attitudes many students default to. 1, online is easier. 2, online means shortcuts. And 3, online means writing like a text. Let's take easier. Online is easier. Yeah, for some of you it is, because you have the discipline and the ability to go through and see what's done and not procrastinate it and take care of it. For others, it's like, I could skip and go to, just main assignments without actually reading anything. I'll just do my best guess. And online, this is not an easy class. It's not an easy class to do online. I'm expecting a lot from you, especially in a short amount of time. I don't mean to scare you away. Okay, there's not a whole lot of work to be done. It's the quality within the work that I'm looking for. So make sure you follow the workflow with this. So let me explain what that is. You don't have the luxury, obviously, of coming to class and sitting down and listening to me tell you what to do every week. Instead, it's up to you. It's your responsibility, in fact, to go through and figure out how things are working. I'm going to help you. Let me show you how. Okay? Every week when you log in, the content for each week, which is in these modules, they're not published yet, but they will be. Okay, each module is released the beginning of the week, the beginning of each week on Monday, sometimes Sunday. It depends. Some of you want to get into content a little bit earlier. The content of those modules then will be actually put into a post that I will put up on this announcements page. It'll say week 1, and then I'll go through and tell you what is expected through each post, and I'll link out to each post. Or if I'm traveling, and I'll be doing a lot of traveling this summer, I will go through and actually just post a video and kind of take you by the hand in terms of what is happening on those modules and what's expected. Within those modules will also be the activities or the assignments that are required. For example, down here on the media, your first one is due on July 5th. Okay, so click on all of these are a link. There's no book for this class. All the content is curated here on this Canvas website. So here's what you need to do then. On Monday, you check Canvas, you go through the announcements, you look for week 1 or week 2, whatever week we might be on. You check all those links, and then you spend the rest of the week studying what's going on within that. I might, during the week, post up a discussion. It might be weighed in terms of points, it might not be. Either way, though, I'm expecting you to chime in. And I'm thinking you'll be passionate enough to chime in, to go through and talk about the issues that are going on. And how social media is framing those for our own understanding, or our own misunderstanding, as the case might be. Got a bug crawling up my nose, and a garbage truck is coming along. So let's see if I can't talk over it while it's doing its job here. Here it goes. Ready? It's going down the street the other way, so I have a few minutes before it comes up this side. All right. So. Online classes are easier? They're not, really, unless you have the discipline to go through and develop your workflow for what needs to happen, okay? Next, here on the syllabus, I write that online, students tend to write like they post. Here, let me go down. Oh, okay, online is easier. Oh, shortcuts. Online means shortcuts. I kind of alluded to that previously by saying, a lot of you, and I do the same thing. We've got 3 or 4 classes going on. I'm teaching 4 classes this semester, so I get it. You want to just go to the assignment and see if you just can't work it out without going into the content, without getting into discussion. It's hard to do for this class because everything's really tied to each week's topic as far as what we're getting into. But still, there are students that give it a shot. And when they do, they don't do well. If you shortcut, if you don't watch the videos, if you don't read the content, if you don't read each other's comments, if you don't comment yourself, if you try to shortcut it through, and I'll know when you do, because I see the amount of time you're spending on each activity within this Canvas website, and Canvas's dirty little trick for you, their analytics. I'll know, and you won't do well, and I want you to do well. I don't want you to fail the class, but there are a number of students who do because they try to shortcut their way through what's going on. So just make sure you read the rubrics. Make sure you understand the content. If you don't, go to the Ask Me Anything line in the discussion page to ask, and I'll be glad to get back to you, or you can email me directly. Here, let's see. I had one other fleeting thought about that. Let's see if I can resurrect that. Oh, rubrics. Here's the deal. You're going to get graded on everything that you do, and everything has a rubric attached to it. Each rubric, then, as I go through each line item on those rubrics, has a comment. In fact, the comments range from you knocked this out of the park to, well, you kind of could probably do a lot better. It's mediocre. Well, those comments are my comments back to you. I have students go through and say, well, you graded it, but you didn't make any comments. Well, the comments are there in the rubrics, okay? I've taught this class long enough to where I can anticipate what those comments are going to be. I've written them 1,000 times, and so now they're kind of codified into a rubric. So if you're wondering, if you want more information from me, I would be more than happy to go through and discuss it more with you. All you have to do is email me or hit the comment within that particular assignment. But if you're wondering why you got the grade that you did, read the graded rubric. Nobody seems to do that, and that'll save both you and me a lot of time and increase our understanding in terms of what's going on. The last part of this thing is don't write like you text. And because most of you are using your iPhone or similar personal device like that to go through and create content and put it up, you end up writing the way you text. If you do that, I'm not going to read it. It needs to be written. This is a senior level university class, and it needs to be written at that level, like with complete sentences and no funky abbreviations like you are for your or whatever. I just won't accept it. I'll boot it out. I won't grade it. So make sure your best work is submitted as we go along there. Okay. All right. Let's see if I've got everything covered here. Philosophies. Let me let you in a little secret. And if you're a student of mine, you already know the secret. I hate grading. I hate grades. I like assessing. I like going through and seeing how you've made the applications or increased your understanding or improved your skill, whatever it might be. But I hate going through and giving you a letter grade. But that's part of my job description. I have to give you a letter grade. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care about your letter grades. What I care about is your ability to raise your acuity, your expertise, your competencies in what it is we're trying to go through and understand with this class. So if you're afraid of the grade you're going to get in the class, see, if you're worried about your GPA, all you have to do is embrace what it is that we're trying to do, and you'll be fine. If you try to shortcut it, and if you write like you text, and if you don't give a crap, you're going to fail the class. That's simple. It happens over 7 weeks. That's a pretty short amount of time. We're all in different places. I'll get students who go through and say, well, okay, would you mind? I'm going to be gone for a week, and I'm going to be on a cruise, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I do. This is an online class. You don't have to be sitting in a class. You don't have to show up. You could do this at 2 o'clock in the morning in your pajamas. You could do this 2 o'clock in the afternoon in your pajamas. You can do this at any time. My truck is rigged up with both a Wi-Fi and a satellite connection for Wi-Fi. So I have access anywhere I go. If you have an iPhone, you have access wherever you go, even if you don't have Wi-Fi. It has the ability to go through and become a Wi-Fi hotspot for you using your cell signal for that. So there's no excuses. I'm not going to accept any for, well, I wasn't anywhere near, and well, then you probably ought to plan your life a little bit better. You know what? You can knock everything out within Monday and Tuesday and have the rest of the week off. Really, and you can submit things and put them out there. I'll be traveling, like I said. I'll go through, I grade stuff. I read constantly 3 or 4 times a day. I'll check every class that I teach, and my grading gets into the weekend, and typically it's on the weekends when I'm gone. My wife and I are traveling at that point, but I always go through and grade and get back to you. So there's no excuse for you not to participate in what's going on, okay, period. If you come back to me and say, hey, I'm going to go to Mexico, or I'm going to go to my favorite one, I'm going to Hawaii. Well, Hawaii has Wi-Fi, right? Yeah. And if you want me to excuse you, you need to bring me back some macadamia nuts. All right, one last thing here, and that's under discussions. If you go there, you'll see that there is a discussion thread that says, just ask. And what I'm asking you to do is, if you have questions on the assignment, on activities, on the content, on what the heck might be going on in terms of immigration, whatever it is, ask it here within this discussion thread, because that way there are other students who are going to benefit from your inquiring mind. All right? It's the questions that are most important to me here, not the answers. And you can get the answers right here on the internet. It's a place of all the answers. In case you were wondering, that's where it's at. Okay, so I just had somebody walking by wondering why I'm talking to my computer. Questions are what I'm more interested in. Post your questions so other students have the ability to go through and maybe see that they had the same kind of question, the same kind of thought, but didn't have maybe the courage to go through and post it up. If you don't want to do that, that's cool. You can email me, okay, using the Canvas email, and ask me directly, okay. You could use my young@dixie.edu, but it's the oldest email on campus, and it's inundated with tens of thousands of messages, and chances are yours is going to get lost in that. So that's about the long and short of it here. We dodged the garbage truck and my dogs. Here, let's see if you can you see them out there? There they are. This is where I'll be posting and when it comes to certain things, or in the truck, or when we're on the road, whatever. you know where to find me. Okay. Glad to have you in class. Hold on. It's going to be quite a ride.